Shalom to my brothers and sisters who are in the body of Yahuwshua HaMashiyach, who is the Messiah and the Son of Yahuwah. And shalom, shalom to my brothers and sisters who are Hebrew Israelites and are scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. Shalom. Today is a very exciting day for us because this is the fourth new moon. And this month as well is bringing a lot of, is bringing a lot of exciting things for us to keep in remembrance and to honor. So the title of this video is Israelites and Gentiles, the fourth new moon, Pentecost / Shavuot, some of you may know it as Feast of Weeks, Moses' 40 days and nights, and the fast. Yes, my brothers and sisters, there is a fast in this month. Some of you may not be aware of this fast. So let us begin first with the announcements. For those who have not heard Yahuwah speaking, I highly encourage you to listen to his prophetic message. He gave two prophetic messages. The first one are only to Hebrew Israelites, and the second message is to Israelites and Gentiles. Please share that message to whom that pertains to. The second message is that some of the Levites are not aware they have a judgment against them. Please share this video that will be listed in the video description box. Also, many people are speaking against us keeping Yahuwah holy days, such as the new moon days, the Sabbath days, the feast days, etc. This same video that is titled The Holy Days and Feasts, Judgment Against Levites, please have them to watch that video as well. For the new covenant do command us to keep these holy days. Again, how are you going to remember what Yahuwah has done for you, Israelites and Gentiles, if you don't keep his holy days? How dare you keep man's holidays and not keep Yahuwah's holy days? Something to really think about. As far as Yahuwah calendar for this month, you do not have to write it down. You will have access to his calendar. And I meant to change the title of this now because now we're going to the fourth month. But where you see Abib and Sivan, this will be changed to Abib to the fourth month calendar 2017 to 2018 AD. So you will have access to that calendar to review and keep up with his holy days and also other important biblical events. Now, some of you who have read First Enoch, it's very important that you also read Second Enoch because there's many things now going on in the earth and the heavens that has affected Yahuwah's calendar. I highly recommend when you have some time to watch this video, the shifting of the earth and the effects on the sun, moon, and stars. This is under Skywatch Media News video channel. Okay, so watch that video because once we go over the fourth month calendar, it'll give you more understanding why you see some changes now. Also, in the video description box, there'll be more information about Pentecost because that is a big subject to learn. It goes very deep, my brothers and sisters. There are a lot of things that many people are not teaching you about Pentecost, and especially Christians. And I have to mention this to you because a lot of y'all think the laws are done away with. Well, when you reread the book of Acts, I'm talking about the whole book of Acts, you will learn of an ancient law that has already existed. See, it's very important that you study to show yourself approved and stop following man's doctrine. So the video for Pentecost will be listed in the video description box. Its title is Pentecost, What They Don't Tell You. And also there's a Google document on Pentecost to give you all the scriptures because many of us are not aware that we're not keeping the correct formula to count for Pentecost. We are following the heathen ways and not the Most High words. Also, many of you are not aware that with the Gregorian calendar we have today, they have taken away 10 to 13 days, depending on which country you live in. And you're probably saying to yourself, well, what did that mean? Why is that so important? The reason why it's so important because by them taking away 10 to 13 days, the days that you are keeping Yahuwah's holy days are not correct. When you do a more further study on the Gregorian calendar and its history, you will learn that it's fulfilling the prophecy that was given unto Daniel. For we are in the fourth beast kingdom, which is under the Roman Empire. And the ruling nation in the Roman Empire is Esau, as prophesied in 2nd Ezra chapter 6, verse 8 through 9. For the end of the world is Esau, and the beginning of the world is Jacob. These videos to give you more understanding about Yahuwah's calendar and to give you understanding how the 10 days has impacted, how the 10 days has affected the Gregorian calendar will be listed in the video description box. And most importantly, when you have some time, please keep Brother Alayasha and his family in prayer, for they were falsely accused and their children was taken away from them. Please do not let their story die, for they are truly bearing their spiritual cross today. So now let us begin with the new moon. So for the fourth month, so far, these are the results that I have, okay? And I will be updating the video description box or the video pinned comment with other eyewitness reports of the new moon. So I'm just giving you what I have now so far. So this is from whenisthenewmoon.com. As you can see, the fourth new moon was witnessed from Israel, okay, on June the 25th, 2017 AD. All right. So that's when they witnessed the new moon crescent. Take this time now to pause your screen and look at the second photo. Here's another photo. The first photo above was by Yehuda Landy. The second photo is by Roy Hoffman. And they're giving you the specifics of when this was witnessed. Again, it was witnessed on Sunday, June the 25th, 2017. The time that it was sighted in Jerusalem, Israel, was at 8 p.m. Remember, that's modern day Jerusalem, okay? Now, this is the fourth month. I no longer use that T word anymore because that is another God's name. You know how who would feel about us mentioning other God's name or other rulers' name. Read the book of Exodus chapter 23 to get that understanding when you have that time. So for this month, I would call it the fourth month. Okay. Now, another site you can go to is renewmoon.com. Okay. And as you can see, there was some sighting on June 24th at Paraguay, and forgive my tongue if I cannot pronounce this correctly. Now, I will explain why some places are seeing the new moon crescent on a different day. But as you can see, again, the new moon was confirmed in Israel on June the 25th, which was Sunday evening. And you can see these two eyewitness report. Take this time now to pause your screen. And the links to both of these sites will be in the video description box. Okay, now let us get to the scriptures, because the new moon is very important to Yahuwah. So if you can open your Bibles now and go to Numbers chapter 10. I'm going to read a chapter summary to you first. This is the King James 1611 Bible. This is the original King James Version. Numbers chapter 10, the summary. The use of the silver trumpets. The Israelites removed from Sinai to Paran. The order of their march. Hobab is entreated by Moses not to lead them. The blessing of Moses at the removing and resting of the ark. So for this chapter, I'm only going to read verse 10 because the new moon day is a holy day unto Yahuwah. The prophet Isaiah also mentioned it, and the prophet Ezekiel also mentioned it. And this will be honored in the new kingdom. Okay, Numbers chapter 10, verse 10. Also in the day of your gladness, and in the solemn days, and in the beginnings of your months, ye shall blow with the trumpets over your burnt offerings. and over the sacrifices of your peace offerings, that they may be to you for a memorial before your Yahuwah. I am Yahuwah, your El. So as you can see, on the new moon day, this is the reason why we blow the shofar on the new moon day. For it is a holy day unto Yahuwah. Now on this day, can work on this day. It is just a worship day unto Yahuwah. And when you read the scriptures, you will always notice that the new moon day is separate from the Sabbath day. And the Sabbath day that I'm talking about is the seventh day of Yahuwah's week. Okay, it is always separate, and we have a witness of this when you read the prophet Ezekiel. Okay, when you read the book of Ezekiel, you will see the confirmation that the new moon day is always separate from the seventh day of Yahuwah. Now, the next chapter we'll go to is Numbers chapter 28, because again, when you read Numbers chapter 28 to Numbers chapter 29, they'll also prove to you that the new moon day is separate from the seventh day of Yahuwah. Numbers chapter 28. This is the summary of the King James 16:11. Offerings are to be observed, the continual burnt offering, the offering on the Sabbath, on the new moons, at the Passover, in the day of first fruits. Okay, so to keep this video short, we're going to go to verse 11 and read from 11 through 15. And in the beginnings of your months, ye shall offer a burnt offering unto Yahuwah, two young burlocks and one ram, 7 lambs of the first year without spot, and 3 tenths of flour for a meat offering mingled with oil for one burlock, and 2 tenths of flour for a meat offering mingled with oil for one ram, and a several tenths of flour mingled with oil for a meat offering unto one lamb, for a burnt offering of a sweet savor, of a sweet savor, a sacrifice made by fire unto Yahuwah. As you can see from verse 11 to 13, even on the new moon days, we have offerings we are to offer unto Yahuwah. This is known as the monthly burnt offerings. But let us continue. Verse 14. And their drink offerings shall be half a hin of wine unto a bullock, and the third part of a hin unto a ram, and a fourth part of a hin unto a lamb. This is the burnt offering of every month throughout the months of the year. So as you can see, we are to always do this for every new moon day. Now we are in the new covenant. A lot of Israelites do not understand the mystery of the new covenant. For we know we do not have a high priest in the earthly realm, nor do we have the physical tabernacle in the earthly realm, for it has been destroyed and laid waste to this day. Look up Tel Aviv, Israel. That is the true Jebusite Jerusalem. But let us continue. So now that we know we don't have these things, you probably wondering, how can I keep them? Well, according to the new covenant, Yahuwshua HaMashiyach covers you for all these things. For he now becomes what? Your drink offering, your burnt offering, even your sin offering. For now we worship the Father in spirit and in truth, as the Messiah has prophesied in John chapter 4, a mystery that many do not understand. So when we come upon these holy days, such as the new moons and his Sabbath days and his holy feast days, we are to pull out the Bibles and read the scriptures that pertain to those days and keep a memorial of these days and teach our children, teach our brothers and sisters, and teach the strangers. And the reason why we do this, because this is a foreshadow of what's yet to come, because we shall keep these holy days in the new kingdom. But let us continue to verse 15. And 1 kid of goats For a sin offering unto Yahuwah shall be offered, beside the continual burnt offering and his drink offering. Now, the continual burnt offering is the daily sacrifice, and that's also discussed in Numbers chapter 28 for more understanding. And I do want to mention this when I say that we shall teach one another. Again, let me give you the mystery. Who is the one that's teaching? Who is the one that's speaking through us? Who is that one, my brothers and sisters? I give you a little hint. Read First Peter's chapter 3. But let me make sure I'm giving you the right chapter. Read Second Peter's chapter 3. Nope, that's not it. Read First Peter's chapter 3. Read the whole chapter. Then go back and look at verse 1 through 4. Because here's the mystery that many do not understand, especially my brothers. Who is that hidden man of the heart that calls the wife to win her husband over to her conversation? And when you understand that mystery, do you understand who's teaching you? Let us continue. Also, I need to mention this to you. We get some time, also read Numbers chapter 29. Because when you begin to study offerings, you will learn that only the new moon offerings are only offered on the new moon day. They are never mingled with the seventh day of Yahuwah's offerings. And here's the proof. When you go to Numbers chapter 29, what is the feast that occurs on the new moon day? Give you a little hint. Numbers chapter 29 has the answer. That feast is the Feast of Trumpet. And you will notice on that day, it is a holy convocation day. And a holy convocation day means that we do not do any work on that day. That is the only new moon out of Yahuwah's calendar that we do not work on. Okay? And when you look at the offerings, okay, the new moon offering is offered beside beside the Feast of Trumpet offerings. I'm going to try to find that verse. You look at verse 6, but when you get some time, I want you to read this verse 1 through 6, but I'm going to read verse 6 to you. Besides the burnt offering of the month, see, that's the new moon offering, beside the burnt offering of the month and his meat offering, and the daily burnt offering and his meat offering, and their drink offerings according to their manner, for a sweet savor, a sacrifice made by fire unto Yahuwah. So with the Feast of Trumpet offerings, it's offered beside the new moon offerings, and it's offered beside the daily sacrifice offerings. Notice it does not mention the Sabbath day offerings. And the Sabbath day I'm talking about is the seventh day of Yahuwah. Something that you can do some more study in your spare time. Okay? So let's take a look at this, because I did explain to you why others may be seeing the crescent on a different day. Remember, we are in the days of sinners, so this moon is doing what she wants to do. It is a sign that she is manifesting unto us to let us know that the true Hebrew Israelites are not into the Holy Land. If you have listened to Yahuwah prophetic message, you will understand what I'm talking about. Also, if you have read First Enoch, you will understand what I'm talking about. So when we go to timeanddate.com and look at the moonrise and moon set time, you notice that the dark moon conjunction was on the 24th day of June, okay? And it occurred around 5:30 a.m. in the morning in Israel time, okay? So when you understand about conjunction and you understand about the new moon crescent, it was seen on this day that the moon had plenty of time to show herself, right? So when you get to what we call the meridian passing, that's the highest point that the moon reached in the sky, okay? That's visible from the earth. it's the moon percentage was around about 0.3%. So probably, let me get my tongue right. It's about to get twisted. So later on that same day on June 24th, probably the reason why Israel couldn't see it because of the illumination percentage being too low. Now let us go to the next day, which is June the 25th. So the moon at the meridian passing was illuminated at 2.8%. Therefore, Israel should have seen, which they did, the new moon crescent on June the 25th. This is a great tool to use to understand what is going on with the moon, because as you can see, she does what she wants to do. Okay, so now let us go back to the moon phases, because in Israel time now, the moon is now waxing at 5.2%. Over there is June the 26th, 2017, around 2:17 a.m. in the morning. So it's waxing around 5.2%. Now this takes us to the calendar. Okay? This is what Yahuwah's calendar looked like on paper. So for those that have watched the prior videos of the new moon reports, you will understand what I'm about to say. If you have not, just listen and just go to the channel to get an update on those other new moon reports. We know that we are in season 2 now, okay? Because we know we have 4 seasons: spring, summer, fall, winter. So we are in season 2, which is summer now. And there's only 3 harvests that we do. We have one for spring, summer, and fall. So we're in the second harvest, and the feast for this harvest is known as the Feast of Weeks, or Pentecost, or as Shavuot. Okay. Now, take this time now to pause the screen, because I'm not going to read everything word by word. I want to give you the most important thing for the 4th month of Yahuwah's calendar. Okay. So the 4th month does fall in the year of 2017 to 2018. Okay. And the pagan months that fall in the 4th month is from June to July. All right. Now we will talk about the sun enter into the I'm sorry. We would talk about the sun 4th month, and the total days for the sun 4th month was 31 days. But we'll talk more about that further in this video. But let's look at the first day of the new moon crescent, day 1. Okay, this is what is seen at sundown. Remember, Yahuwah's calendar is from sundown to sundown. It begins with night and it ends with daylight. It's from sundown to sundown. So reason why you see me put E and W, that lets me know that from the east to the west, we should have been able to see the new moon crescent, which is very important. Now, before I go further in the 4th month, I forgot to take you to the 3rd month, because we have to close the 3rd month out. So let's just day 1 in the 4th month, and then we'll go to the 3rd month. So the new moon crescent again was seen on the 25th day at sundown of June. All right. So let me go to the 3rd month, because we got to close that out. Okay. Again, you have access to these calendars. Do not stress out. You can come back and review these calendars. Okay. So when the moon was in its dark moon phase, it was on the 29th day. Okay. So we all discussed that the crescent was not seen on the 24th day of June. Okay. Based on for Israel. All right. So therefore, the 3rd month of Yahuwah calendar will have a total of 30 days. Okay. Now, for those who have been keeping a record, we are aware that Israel did not see the new moon crescent in the 3rd month at the same time as the west saw it. Okay. So in the 3rd month of Yahuwah's calendar, the west saw the new moon crescent on May the 26th at sundown, but Israel saw it on May the 27th at sundown. Okay, very important for you to know. And the reason is because when we start adding up the total days for the moon for that month, this is why you will see Israel only having 29 days, but for Yahuwah calendar, we will have 30 days. Again, this is fulfilling prophecy about the moon not showing at her appointed time. Okay. So we have a total of 30 days for the third month. So the moon quarter for the first, second, and third month, total days are 89 days. Now, when I look at the moon actual time, when I break this down, I take 89 and break it down to the more specific time of the moon. When I add it up, the moon actual time for the first, second, and third month, and where you see my cursor at, for example, in the third month, the moon had 29 days, 6 hours, and 46 minutes. So when I add all three of these months, I got a total of 87 days, 23 hours, and 33 minutes. If I did not do my math calculation incorrectly, if I did not do it incorrectly, this is what I have so far. If I made any errors in my calculations, then you will see an update either in the video description box or in the pinned comment. But this is what I have so far. Okay, so the moon for the third month had a total of 30 days. The moon quarter was 89 days, but the moon actual time was 87 days, 23 hours, and 33 minutes. Now, for the sun, we already talked about that. Watch the summer solstice, and you'll get the breakdown of that. Okay, so looking at the third month of Yahuwah's calendar, when you look at the sun fourth month began on the 27th day of the moon. Therefore, on the 30th day of the moon, the sun month was the fourth month and fourth day. When you see right here where my cursor's at, let me bring this up right here. So take this time to pause your screen on that. Also on the 30th day of the moon, because we counting for Pentecost, which is 7 complete Sabbaths and 50 days. Read Leviticus chapter 23. So on the 30th day of the moon, we got a count of 22 days of the 50-day count. Okay, take this time now to pause your screen, because now we're going to carry these numbers over to the new month, because we got to keep counting. Okay, so going back to day one in the fourth month of the Most High calendar, we are counting to Pentecost. So now on the first day of the new moon, the count to Pentecost is day 23. Now for the sun, it is the fourth month and fifth day on the moon first day. Remember, the sun will always be ahead of the moon. Okay, and this occurred on the heathen's calendar, which is June the 25th at sundown to June the 26th at sundown. Also, Moses, when you go back and you study the book of Exodus, his 40 days and 40 nights on Mount Sinai does relate to Pentecost. It do. So we'll also talk about that in this video. So on day one of the new moon, Moses' count for 40 days and 40 nights is this. On the first day of the new moon in the fourth month, it was Moses' 13th night and 14th day. Now, the reason why you don't see these numbers the same, because remember, for those who have watched the other new moon report of the third month, we learned that Moses went into the mountain during daylight time. Okay, so this is why the daylight would be ahead of the night. So this is why you see the count being different. But now let us continue. So now we're looking at the first week of the moon. So let me bring this up. Now, I also need to mention this. When you looked at the new moon report, you saw an area who saw the new moon crescent on June the 24th. And when you look, I'm sorry, my tongue getting twisted. To understand why this is going on, this all relates to biblical prophecy. And to understand which day is the correct day for the moon, you're going to have to practice this calendar. In other words, you're going to have to start keeping a record and observing the heavens for yourself. And you're going to have to get more familiar with the moon phases, especially the 4-quarter moon phases. Okay? Because then you're going to determine, because having that knowledge will help you determine what is the correct day. All right? And you're going to see what I mean. Now, looking at the moon first week, on day 6 of the moon, we have what? A waxing half moon, which is 50% in light. And on the heathen calendar, that would fall on July the 30th at sundown they would fall on June the 30th at sundown to July the 1st at sundown. Okay? So we're counting for Pentecost. That's the 28th day of the that's the 28th day to the count to Pentecost. And for the sun, it is the 4th month and 10th day. Now, for Moses being on the mountain, that is his 18th night and his 19th daylight, okay, for that day. Now, when you start looking at other people report, if they saw the new moon crescent before June the 25th, what is going to happen is going to push this moon phase over. Now, the half-weighted moon can be on the 6th day, the 7th day, or the 8th day. So if they are going by the 24th, that phase for them would be okay. But let us keep going because there's more evidence why it is best to have your new moon day on June the 25th and not June the 24th. But let us continue. Now, I also mentioned in the video that is a fast coming up on the 9th day of the moon. This is a very important fast to keep as a memorial. I know what most of y'all are thinking. I have to restrain from food and water. Well, this fast is very different. Okay, so now let us go to some scriptures right quick. When you have a chance, I want you to read Zechariah chapter 8, verse 19, and Isaiah chapter 58, because this is a great lesson to learn in your spare time. For on the fourth month of the moon and its 9th day, there was a great famine in Jerusalem, and there was no bread for the people. And there's some other important biblical facts that was going on during this time, my people, dealing with the Babylonians. So when you have some time, read 2 Kings chapter 25, Jeremiah chapter 52, the work of Josephus, the book of Antiquities, which is 10.8.2. Okay? Book 10, chapter 8, section 2, and look at 135. Also read 2 Chronicles chapter 36, verse 11 to 21. That is a great lesson for us to learn because when we read about what happened to my ancestors, it will make us to be humble so we will not repeat their mistakes. Okay? Now for the fast. Zechariah chapter 8, verse 19. Thus saith Yahuwah of hosts, the fast of the 4th month, and the fast of the 5th, and the fast of the 7th, and in the fast of the 10th shall be to the house of Yehuda joy and gladness and cheerful feasts. Therefore, love the truth and peace. Now, you are saying, how can a fast be a feast? And according to the Hebrew meaning of feast, it means solemn or set times. So you probably wondering, how can a fast be a feast? So when you read Isaiah chapter 58, you will get a more understanding of Zechariah chapter 8, verse 19. Again, we are to keep these days as a memorial by pulling out your Bible and understand what happened on the 4th month and 9th day. Take this time now to pause the screen to get that information. Okay. Now going back to the second week of the moon, also, I do want to mention this on the fast day, that is Moses' 21st night in Mount Sinai and 22nd daylight in Mount Sinai. And the count to Pentecost is the 31st day to the count of Pentecost. And for the sun, it is the 4th month and 13th day. Now, the full moon falls on the 14th day of the moon. Okay. And reason how I'm able to get these phases, you have to go to timeanddate.com and go here. And you have to look at the date and time when these phases occur. So the full moon occurs before sundown on July the 9th. Therefore, my date range for the full moon would be from the 8th to the 9th. Okay? So, for those who are keeping the new moon crescent on June the 24th, what will happen, it will push this moon phase to the 15th day. Okay? So you're probably saying, well, I'm okay there for now, but as we go further, you will see it will not line up. Okay? Now, on the 14th day of the full moon, this is Moses' 26th night on the mountain and 27th daylight on the mountain. And this is the 36th day to count of the Pentecost. And the sun day is the 4th month and 18th day. Let us continue. When we look at the third week of the moon, we have a waning half moon. That is a moon decreasing in light, which is 50%, which occur on the 22nd day of the moon. Okay? So this would be Moses' 34th night and 35th daylight on Mount Sinai. And the count to Pentecost will be the 44th day. And for the sun, it would be the 4th month and 26th day for the sun. Now, this is the phase that will be affected for those who are honoring June the 24th as their new moon day. Okay, the problem with that is going to push this waning half moon into the 4th week. Now, I have to be honest with you from observing Yahuwah's calendar. The moon can do some very strange things. So, you have to look at each month separately because sometimes you can have different results. So, based on the prior experience that I had with keeping the Most High calendar, in this particular month for the 4th month, the new moon crescent should have been on June the 25th. Okay, by having the new moon crescent on June the 25th, it would keep the waning half moon in its third week, which is the correct week of the moon. The waning half moon usually occurs on the 21st day or the 22nd day. I hope you understand what I'm saying. I'm going to say this again. The waning half moon occurs only in the third week of the moon. It usually occurs from the 21st day to the 22nd day. I have seen the moon do some strange things, but for this month, I'm going with the June the 25th new moon crescent because all the moon phases are lining up to its proper days. Okay, let us continue to the 4th week of the moon. Now, this is where it gets very interesting. On the 27th day of the moon, you will learn that my ancestor made a golden calf on the 27th day of the moon. Okay, and that fell on Moses' 39th night and 40th daylight on Mount Sinai. Okay, and the count to Pentecost on that day was the 49th day. Okay, the day before Pentecost. Yes, they made a golden calf. That is a very interesting read. When you have some time, read Exodus chapter 32. Let me make sure. Exodus chapter 32. Yep, read Exodus chapter 32 and you will see that, okay? And get the history about that. Now, on the 27th day of the moon, this is the day when you have the last waning crescent. That's that little sliver of light. And most of the time in that phase, it can be seen before morning. Okay, you have to go out and look for it during that period of time. All right, in the morning time. And then it will disappear. And it's usually on the side of the moon when you're facing it. All right. Also on the 27th day of the moon, that is, I'll repeat myself again, but it's the 49th day count to Pentecost. And it's the sun 4th month and 31st day. Now this is the day when the sun enters the 5th sign of Mazzaroth, which is known as Leo. Okay. And the reason why I put 120 degrees, because when you read the Bible teaches you that the heavens surround the earth as a circuit. All right. And each of sign of Mazzaroth is positioned in the heavens at a certain degree. Such as Aries is 0 degree. Then Taurus is 30 degree. Gemini is 60 degree. Cancer is 90 degree. And then Leo is 120 degrees. Now, this happens on July the 22nd at 6:15 p.m. at Israel Daylight Saving Time. Okay. Now, I am still researching this date to make sure I have the correct date, but this is what I have so far. So I'm just going by what I have. And if I need to make a correction, just check the video description box or check the pinned comment for it. Now, to determine if this time of the sun entering the fifth sign of Mazzaroth is before sundown, I went to time and date and got this. For sundown occurs at 7:41 p.m. Israel Daylight Savings Time. So this particular event occurs before sundown. Therefore, it shall be from the 21st to the 22nd. So this is why it falls on the 27th day of the moon. I'm going to say this again. On the 27th day of the moon, this is when the sun enters into the fifth sign of Mazzaroth. Right? Now, on the 28th day of the moon, this is the day when we have Pentecost. And we have lots to talk about Pentecost. It's so much more that has not been revealed about Pentecost, some deep spiritual things. Okay? So take this time now to pull out your Bibles and begin to research, because it's some very deep spiritual things about Pentecost. All right. Now, it will occur on the dark moon day. Okay. And this is the 40th night of Moses and the zero daylight, because this is the day when Moses is coming off the mountain, because my ancestor was making a feast to the Lord on that day, which was a big no-no. Go back and read Exodus, the book of Exodus, and you will see that my people was warned about this before they even done it. It's some very interesting read about this biblical event, what happened. Okay. If you have a copy of the work of Josephus, he gives some important details too, but go back and read the book of Exodus. Your mouth would drop. For it showed that my people, well, my ancestors truly lacked faith. And unfortunately, the same thing is happening to my brothers and sisters who are Hebrew Israelites, for they are more in the carnal than in the spiritual, and they have no faith. Okay, but let us keep going. So on the 28th day of the moon, this is when we have Pentecost. It is a holy convocation day. We're not to work. Now, I know I'm aware you're not able to do all the offerings on Pentecost, okay? But those who just want to participate, we usually make the new meat offering, which is the way loaf offering. Okay, that's what we do to keep a memorial. But if you're not able to do that, that is fine. Just pull your Bibles out, keep a memorial on this day. If you're working on this day, remember Yahuwshua HaMashiyach covers you. So take your Bible with you to work. Share the good news with your co-workers on your break time. Okay, because the day is coming when we will celebrate Yahuwah holy days in the new eternal kingdom. So on the 28th day of the moon is Pentecost, and that is the day where the dark moon phase would occur. This was also the 40th night when Moses was on the mountain and when he came off the mountain, because my people was making a feast unto the Lord. Read Exodus chapter 32. And this is the 50th count of Pentecost. And on this day, this is the sun, first day of its fifth month. And it occurs on July the 22nd at sundown to July the 23rd. Now, when you look at the timing of the dark moon phase, let us go back to timing.com, you will see that the dark moon phase will be on July the 23rd at 12:45 p.m. Usually not be able to see the new moon crescent on July the 23rd, because it's not enough time for the moon to show the new moon crescent. Therefore, more than likely, I'm not saying it is yet, we have to wait until we get an eyewitness report, but more than likely that we won't see the new moon crescent until July the 24th at sundown. All right. Another thing I did forget to mention pertaining to the fifth sign of Mazzaroth, you might ask yourself, what did that mean? When the sun entered Mazzaroth, the fifth sign, this is what will happen. You will have about 13 hours and 20 minutes of daylight, which Enoch called 11 parts, and you'll have about 10 hours and 40 minutes of night, which Enoch say is about 7 parts. So now we are seeing that slowly the sun, slowly that daylight will be decreasing and light will be increasing, but slowly, okay? Now, when you go to timeofday.com and you look at sunrise and such set times, when you get to July the 22nd, you may see daylight being slightly more than 13 hours and 20 minutes. And remember, the reason is why you're seeing that now because the earth has shifted. Watch that video I recommend in the beginning of the video to watch to get a more understanding, okay? Again, this is dealing with celestial points. One of the signs, yes, we do look at the length of daylight and the length of night, but you got to also understand celestial points and these star constellations to get the correct date and time. Well, this concludes the fourth new moon report. If you have any questions, leave them in the video description box. Remember, you do have access to Yahuwah's calendar. And for further understanding on Yahuwah's calendar, you have access to the playlist, okay? And you have access to the missing 10 days and the Gregorian calendar playlist to get more understanding as well. So, my brothers and sisters, let's close out in prayer. In the name of Yahuwshua HaMashiyach, Father, we thank you for this day, for this is your holy day, the new moon. I pray that my brothers and sisters will receive understanding about your holy days and will understand about the new covenant and what the new covenant covers. I pray that they do not panic about the offerings, but have a more understanding about the spiritual offerings that we do now. I also pray for our enemies, Yahuwah, that whatever they have planned against us, that it fall upon their heads and that they fall in their own pits. And Father, I pray for the Hebrew Israelites. For many of us are thinking that we're not following the heathen ways, but we still are. I pray that they seek you for your truth and for your understanding because your word is so correct. For your ways and your thoughts are not our ways and thoughts. This is why many of our brothers and sisters are having a hard time with your calendar because of all the false information that the heathens has given unto them. So I pray that they seek you for your understanding. I pray that they read Luke 11 verse 9 through 13 and learn that it is your spirit that should teach them all truth according to 1 John chapter 2 verse 27. I also pray for Brother Alayasha and his family that, Father, that you use them for your honor and your glory. But most importantly, Father, please protect them from all danger, harm, and evil and their children, for their children are now among strangers. And whatever I have not prayed in this prayer, Father, that I ask you to fulfill it according to your will. In the name of Yahuwshua HaMashiyach, so be it. All right, my brothers and sisters, continue to preach that the kingdom of heaven is at hand. For we know this is the season for Yahuwshua HaMashiyach to return. For we are in the seventh day of Adam, which is the 7,000 year, also which is the 12,000 year from creation. And so far, what Yahuwah has shown unto me, or what I have so far, we are in the 7,485th year. Beta Israel has 7,088 years, and the Jewish people have 5,777. Now, the reason why the synagogue of Satan has 75777 because they don't believe in the Messiah. And the Jewish people are the sons of Esau and the sons of Japheth, which fulfill the prophecy in Genesis chapter 9, chapter 10, 2nd Ezra chapter 6, and many other scriptures. For we are truly in the fourth beast kingdom, which is Rome. And Rome is ruled by Edom, Esau. And he's recognized by his red hair. For he tried to hide himself, but he can no longer hide himself. For the truth is being revealed. Even the Dead Sea Scrolls have confirmed that Edom will be one of the nations that shall rise against the Messiah. So continue, my brothers and sisters, to preach that the kingdom of heaven is at hand, for the Messiah is coming. Make sure the people receive salvation as written in Romans chapter 10 and baptize them in the name of Yahuwshua HaMashiyach. For the water is the second witness in the earth. For the Lamb set the example, and the apostles continued the water baptism, as confirmed in the book of Acts and many other sources as well. All right, my brothers and sisters, this concludes this fourth new moon report, Pentecost slash Shavuot, known as the Feast of Weeks, Moses' 40 days and nights, and the fast. Shalom.